global warming, extinction of species, and possible nuclear winter. Let's start with, again, what's going on with the world. The most important thing, The Guardian reports 75,000 children in Nigeria could starve to death within months, says UN. Hopefully something is done. Professor Stephen Hawking says humanity has less than 1,000 years left until extinction. New Zealand Herald reports. I think, personally, I do think that Stephen Hawking is way too optimistic. Way. CISPR, CRISPR, gene editing tested in a person for the first time. Nature reporting. I don't know. It is just possible that's a step too far. We'll see. Physicists just discovered a second state of liquid water, Science Alert reports. Whee! You always learn something new. Ford going ahead with moving small car production to Mexico. CEO. Reuters reporting. I hope all Trump voters are overjoyed. Poor citizens to receive $1,320 a month in Canada's no-string-attached basic income trial. Big Think reporting. I mean, yeah. That's what you should have all over the world. Again, oh Canada, well done. Researchers and politicians slam the war on drugs. Please, everybody, listen to this. Over 100 billion is spent each year on trying to enforce prohibition, but with very little effect. Okay, the war on drugs isn't working, and it's a scam. Most of it. For example, I think in Finland, marijuana, pot, is illegal, again, for absolutely no reason whatsoever. If it really is just following this thing that they started during the Richard Nixon period in the United States, just simply to get libertarian people off the streets and black people off the streets and into prisons. I mean, it's totally idiotic that it should be in Europe. On what pretense? Go figure. US Army and CIA may be guilty of war crimes in Afghanistan, says ICC. The Guardian again reporting. Oh, really? We have videotape and film of US troops committing horrendous war crimes. I mean, it's not like may be guilty. I don't think that there really is any doubt on the subject, really. So now let's see if it is justice for all, so to speak. Then UN committee votes to condemn Russian occupation of Crimea. News Info Inquirer. I don't know. Again, it is highly... Again, I'm really so sorry, and I don't like the fact that the Putin people got into power in Russia back then. But since they have, and everybody's been doing the wrong thing, absolutely everybody, I do think that this is unfair continuously to blame Russia. Everybody could have taken a different path, but since this path has been taken, it is unfair to blame just one side. At the same time, Poland launches new 53,000 strong force to fight Russian invasion. DailyStar.com. Daily Star UK. Again, I'm if everything is not all right in Russia and it has an unfortunate government, well, one has to say that so does Poland. They have taken serious steps back from where they were. Facebook is a black market for Vietnam's wildlife traffickers. A year-long investigation revealed that Facebook has unwillingly become a safe haven for wildlife smugglers. Motherboard. Vice reporting. That is somewhat connected to my just slightly connected to my rant today, but horrible. Google will soon ban fake news sites from using its ad network, cutting off their revenue streams, The Verge reporting. Which is again something I can't remember whether I've ranted on this before, but it is an interesting idea that you could have actually made the internet a completely different place than it is. You could have banned advertising in the internet. You could have said that it doesn't belong in the internet. It's just for information, exchange of ideas and so on. No advertising. Think of how nice it would be to watch videos without suddenly getting loud commercials. Think of how nice it would be to surf the net without ever being bothered by entertainment advertisements. And they didn't, and here we are. We have this present reality now because of very stupid decisions made. There was an actual, decision to be made for the entire mankind not to have any advertising in the internet. But in this case, it's this. Then in this present reality, this sounds very good. I hope that this does, lessen the amount of fake news sites. And then again, when you connect it with this news that Twitter is rolling out new protections against trolls, Twitter trolls, we get to my rant today. Except that in a certain way, in connection, I have to say that it really bugs me that continuously even progressive people keep on making this direct connection between Brexit and what we know as racism, which cannot be racism because very few people are that dumb that they imagine that human race would be anything but one race. But still, the backwards ideology called racism, they just say that was because of racists, and that's it. Even though Brexit was the first step, hopefully, of breaking up the awful neoliberal corporate tool that is the European Union. Again, if I personally, if I would have to say what's been the most terrible thing happening to Finland, is the fact that European Union has forced neoliberalist economic policies on Finland, for example. They have just been forced through. And again, the whole thing isn't democratic at all, because at no point has anyone made any sort of a good case on why the European Union should exist, because you can have all sorts of agreements between countries without having a union. And it's just taken on as face value. All the major outlets, it's a default that European Union is good. Why is never discussed. It's just good, and anyone who says anything else is on the fringe. So I am quite certain, but considering that in Brexit there were two sides that were lying and going over the top, the fact that these blooming racists, the whatever amount of they happen to be on the Brexit side should not be the only thing that is taken out of it. And it really annoys me. That's the only thing that progressive people talk about when we are talking Brexit. It is awful. Anyway, my very short rant is that I'm wondering how much the two things that I actually haven't had very much dealings with, pretty much the only two things that really do not interest me in the internet, Twitter and Facebook. How much have they contributed to the present problem that we have, especially in the United States, which is now, come to a head with Donald Tiny Hands Trump. But I'm actually I cannot believe that she's been sitting for 6 years in prison. I do think that I stopped calling it the United States. I'm just starting to call it the Chelsea Manning country until she is set free. It is awful, horrible, unbelievable, to be quite exact. But anyway, is to all that facts do not matter anymore so much. Proof, reality don't enter into much of the discussion. How much have Facebook and Twitter contributed to that? Because as an ordinary person, since a long time ago your life has been ruined by crazy politicians, you work way too hard, you have your work is too hard, and then much of your time goes trying to pay your bills and your taxes, and then you have a rough job, and then you just need rough entertainment. And I've already said earlier that I do think that that so much of the internet is taken over by mindless entertainment. So a lot of people's time goes to mindless entertainment, and then we have these reports that many people are getting their news from Facebook or Twitter. And as anyone can tell, you can have whatever links put in there. And people tend to hang out with, in the internet with like-minded people. So, and again, most of the links don't contain any actual news. So, this, well, firstly, of course, everybody getting so divided, and then this loss of realism, together with corporate media, but then connected to all this, how much has social media contributed to reality disappearing? And again, since the European media, it doesn't seem to be corporate, but it's still wrong, and I have to do some more study on that. But my worry, of course, again, is even with the higher level of education and non-corporate media, most likely, is Facebook or Twitter are they making the European public unrealistic as well.